Frank Granshaw. Yes, got it. Frank Granshaw, Portland, Oregon. I'm with Portland State and a number of other organizations, and that's probably about enough for me. So Carolyn Burns, you're right underneath my picture. So.
All right, so I guess it's my turn. Carolyn Burns, I live in Tallahassee. I'm the Education and Curriculum Manager for the CLEO Institute, which is a climate education and advocacy organization here in Florida. Christy, go ahead.
Thanks, Carolyn, and I'll be turning my camera off after the introduction because I'm commuting. So I'm Christy Buffington. I am joining you from Fairbanks, Alaska, on the lands of the Lower Tanana Dene people. And these are my solar panels in my backyard. Nice. So it's 9 a.m. here in Alaska. Usually I commute to work a little bit earlier, but there's some other things. So I figured join the clean call via walk. Anyways, I am a science education specialist at the International Arctic Research Center, and I currently coordinate 3 different projects, all involving K through 12 and K through 16 climate education work. And I also teach at UAF, a watershed management class, and my students all do globe investigations. So everything we do, or at least that I do at University of Alaska Fairbanks, has some sort of globe involvement and community or community and citizen science aspect to it that engages people in monitoring and observing the environment where they live, and then translating that into some climate action or stewardship work. I'm glad. Thank you, Gina, for re-welcoming back. I mentioned the class because I couldn't join previously because I was teaching during the same time as the clean calls, but thank you so much.
Glad to have you back. And I'm guessing you're on a phone, so it's hard to see who else is here. Gina's introduced herself in the chat. Carrie, you want to go next?
My name is Carrie Herndon. I'm the curriculum specialist at National Center for Science Education, and we are working on, at this point, just polishing up our misconception-based curriculum. We have 3 different series, evolution, climate change, and the nature of science, and all of them have 5 lesson sets that specifically deal with different misconceptions that teachers face in the classroom. And I see Deborah has just joined us. So Deborah, we're just going around and introducing ourselves.
Hi, hi Carrie. Yeah, I was a science editor for kids for a lot of years, and Scholastic and places like that. And I'm getting back into it, and I'm playing with trying to develop a toy on my own, which is interesting. So thank you.
Yes. And last but not least, Katie. With her mouth full.
Hi, I've just eaten a carrot. That's why my video's off. Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Boyd. Give me 1 second. Of course, it's a carrot too, so it takes a little while to chew.
Indeed. And I'll note that my lunch will be ready in a few minutes, and I will also be chewing.
Yeah, I'm trying to fit it in because I have meetings pretty much straight from 9 o'clock today till like 2:30. So anyways, hi everyone. Nice to see you. I'm Katie Boyd. I'm the CLEO program manager, and otherwise I'm based at Ceres Education and Outreach, which is in the Boulder, Colorado area, the traditional lands of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Ute. I use she, her pronouns, and we do a lot of various science education work and science communication outreach. And I spent about half my time working on clean, managing clean, and then the rest of the time, maybe probably more than half on clean. And then I also do research and evaluation on some of our other educational projects. So nice to see you all. Nice to be.
Nice to see you all. Yes. So are there any announcements?
Yes. Did we get done? Did we get Deborah?
Yes.
We did. That's okay.
Oh, and just in case, I think think it was Wendy who ended up the host today. I'm not sure
Yeah.
why Wendy ended up the host, but thanks for recording. Did you happen to hit record to the cloud, Wendy, when you recorded, or did you record your own computer?
Oh no, I hit the cloud hoping that someone then could go find
Yes,
it.
that is exactly what happened. Thank you.
And
That's
I
perfect.
ended up the host after when Gina's connection got weird. So I was like, yeah, we'll go with that.
That's great. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that it will be in the spot. We have students who take the recording and put it on the website. So I
It
just wanted
will
to make
be
sure it was
in
going to
the
be there for them.
spot.
Excellent. Any
I have an announcement. It's short. It's a lesson learned. Turns out implementing semester-long classes during a university merger is difficult, and I wouldn't recommend it. But of course, you're not given a choice. So lesson learned. Since other people, but Jim's hands up and Carrie's hands up. So
Yeah, Jim was first, then Carrie.
Okay, great. I'd like to do two quick ones. One is today is a webinar of a report has just been issued by Michi, monitoring education, climate change education, and with the National Association of with NAEE. I think we all know that. It's 3 p.m. Eastern and 12 Pacific. I'll put a link into the chat. If people think it's a good idea, I can also probably give the direct. I don't think they're going to be upset if we share the Zoom link directly since it's registering today. But it's a no. What they're doing is they're looking at essentially the policies across the United States, where they at. There's recommendations of them. It's not really a ground up thing. It's pretty much top down policy, but it's 55 pages report. I've read it over, and I think they've looked to have this be a report that will hold up for 5 years or something along that line. So the other one is 2 weeks from now, less than 2 weeks from now, the largest annual community event in Northern California will be held, and CLEAN will be there. CLEAN Network will be there. So we're featuring work on climate education. I'm trying to think too, sometimes what to invite NCSE, those that, particularly would be noticed by people in California. The CLEAN Network will definitely be highlighted. Don, if you have things like, we can highlight at these events that go on. Before COVID, it drew over 300,000 people in a day. It might be 100,000 this year. It will be down, but the events are coming back. And this is a way in which our community reaches the entire region, not just even at the district level, and certainly not just at the school level, but hundreds of thousands of people and thousands of teachers see climate education going on and climate action. So thanks.
Thanks, Jim. Carrie.
I'm totally muted. I know I mentioned this last week, but we are still hiring for an outreach specialist at NCSE. I did not do this last week, but I'm going to put a link in the chat to the job description. And if anyone happens to know any good candidates, please, please, please ask them to apply.
And I think next is me in the list. A couple of things. One is that I've mentioned before the deep geothermal project at Cornell and the Cornell University Borehole Observatory, the 2-mile deep hole on campus to figure out if it's going to work. And they finished drilling last week, and you can see the updates on that page. I think it's not quite 2 miles. I think it's 9,760 feet or something like that. I was also going to mention, ask how many folks have spoken to Winston Choi Chagrin from the New York Times about for her article on climate change curriculum in schools. And I'll note that she sent me a follow-up email last week wondering if I could connect her with teachers in Oregon, Texas, New Jersey, and Florida. And I don't have great connections in those states. So if you do, I can send you Winston's email, and you can pass that along. So Gina.
Can everyone hear me okay right
Yeah.
now? Okay. We are officially only about 3 weeks out from the Excel Summit. If you have not registered for it yet, please do so. We're still really trying to bump registration. Please continue sharing and get your friends to come. I'll put the link in the chat. But again, that's September 22nd and 23rd. Thanks for everyone that has already registered or volunteered for helping out with it.
Other announcements? What do you want to talk about? Deborah.
I have two embarrassing questions. So the first one is I've asked this group before and I've lost the notes about solar curriculum that's not on the CLEAN website. And it's embarrassing because I've asked before and you've told me I've lost it.
Yeah, I don't have direct stuff off the top of my head. I don't know if others do.
So Deborah, you're asking about specific resources not in the CLEAN section?
Yeah, I started going through that and, noticing, links where they don't exist so much anymore. But it's interesting to see because there's a lot of solar schools, but they don't always have curriculum with it.
I also wonder if, I don't think that's a stupid question at all. I'm still unmuted and talking, so someone else could have an answer. It could also be helpful to send an email out to the listserv to see if there's any ideas.
I was just gonna say that, and I would appreciate that too, because we have had the last year or two, we've had quite a bit of our more specifically energy focused resources that have become old or aren't supported anymore that we've had to archive out of the system. I think there's still quite a bit in there, and I think definitely solar. I do know there was a group that had some solar curriculum that I learned about last year from Climate Generation that I was hoping to try to get into CLEAN, but they were really, I can't remember what group it was, but they were really proprietary about their stuff, and it wouldn't have worked in CLEAN the way that they have their curriculum, because I think you have to kind of go through their trainings to get it rather than like having it just open on their website. But yeah, I'm also interested in this because we're trying to get more clean, energy stuff into CLEAN. We definitely like anything that's out there that's not in CLEAN that should be, let us know. So if you do send an email to the listserv, I'd be interested in seeing what comes out from that too myself. So I would definitely recommend that, especially if there was somebody who specifically mentioned something on a CLEAN call who's not here today, then they might see the email and respond to you.
Thank you so much for that encouragement. I will do that. The other embarrassing question is, I used to be good at research. So I'm in a town that flooded. It was a disaster zone last year. And so I wanted to, and so I'm thinking of moving. And so I'm trying to get a picture of a map of where it flooded. I've called the USGS, I've called NOAA, I've called FEMA, and they kind of all, I don't think I did NOAA, but they kind of either didn't know or kept recommending each other. And so I feel bad as a researcher, but I also feel, I don't know, do you run into that also, where agencies are kind of like, the line is, so I asked Google. Thank you, Wendy.
I would recommend trying to contact the National Water Center in Alabama. It's a relatively new part of NOAA, specifically designed to address and predict flooding at a very high resolution. So I'm not terribly familiar with them, but the combination of going down a NOAA pathway and going to the National Water Center may find you someone who can help.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't expect to not I expected you agency would know, so that was confusing. So thank you.
And you said it's for the recent flooding that just happened this summer?
In September, Ida knocked out part of my town, and we were a federal disaster zone. So I thought,
Oh, last year in September. I was gonna say if it was for the recent. Sorry, I'm eating and so missing little bits here and there. I was going to say if it's something very recent, it could also be that they're still, assessing damage and not totally sure, because there'll be like a lot of places have the automatic tracking of like rivers and other things like that. If they have gauges on it, they can see if those, got to certain levels, but the actual like flooding in towns, like it's like, I think sometimes it's kind of like tornadoes where they have to go and like assess where it actually hit sometimes before they can build those maps. But yeah, if it's been a year, I definitely think that I agree with Wendy, maybe trying.
Yeah.
The
Well,
water center.
you might also check with the, which state are you in?
I'm in New Jersey, so like they have like scattered gauges, but like they were on the news, they were like aerial drone photos. So that seems
Yeah.
like something
Well,
that.
what I was going to suggest is maybe the State Department of Natural Resources or Environmental Conservation or whatever it's called in New Jersey might have your answer.
Thank you. Yeah, I just assumed it would be a lot easier than it has so
And
far.
at the local level, honestly, your local National Weather Service office, they typically do write-ups on dramatic weather and flooding events in their, what they call their county warning area. I wouldn't be at all surprised is Mount Holly, New Jersey, the forecast office that forecasts for your area?
I can ask. We're right outside of Princeton, so it seemed like an easy.
I mean, very often a local weather service office will document flooding or other major weather events right on their website because they know their community is interested.
Thank you so much.
The other organization to look at, it's a volunteer citizen science group, but CocoRaws, they track precipitation data from people just having rain gauges in their backyards. They have a mapping system on their site. It wouldn't show the flooding, but it would show how much rain that area got on that specific day on the map. And you could always reach out to the organization, CocoRaws, to see if, because people will with their reports, sometimes they'll add like notes or significant weather reports if something really significant was happening in their area. It wouldn't give you the full picture because, like I said, it's a citizen science program, and so they only track people who are actually in the program, but it could give you a picture of at least the precipitation that hit on when flooding was happening.
Thank you. Is that COCORAS?
Yeah, cocoRaws.org. I'm going to put the link in the chat for their website.
RAHS.
RAHS. Thank you. I missed the H. Thank you, Wendy. Yes. The Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network.
Thank you.
Are there things people want to talk about?
I just want to show the boreal forest. You can see where I'm at right here. You can see that the leaves are starting to change on the high bush cranberry, and here is this one doesn't have the tops all ready to disperse, but autumn is beginning. It's been a very strange summer in Alaska, or at least interior Alaska. Of course, a fire season, less precipitation in Informal, and but nonetheless, it's time to start harvesting high bush cranberries, which I'm making to ketchup.
Well,
Multi-place-based, so very, very random diversion.
other things folks want to talk about?
It's not going to be relevant to everyone here, or I don't know if anyone, but we're hosting a climate education summit. The Clio Institute is in partnership with Miami-Dade College in October. I just put the link in the chat, and I know that y'all are, sort of dispersed throughout the state, throughout the country. So if you wanted to come down from Alaska, that would be really cool. But yeah, if you know of anyone who's in the area, formal, non-formal, K-12, even community college. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Ken. I talked about this last week, and some folks sent me some resources. We're going to be like printing out lots of stuff, pamphlets, and putting it into folders. So if there's anything that is, could potentially be relevant and you wanted to send it, absolutely, I will take it and include it in there. They're little goodie bags. I'm really excited. Putting together a really cool list of speakers. We're talking about like climate art, slash artivism, links between like climate, civic engagement, ELA, and how that can help address climate anxiety, especially in adolescents when they, when they can see a substantive change in their community and society based on what it is that they learn and say. And really focusing in a lot as well on like green careers, trades, and job training. So yeah, if you have any resources that you want to share, or if you know of anyone who lives in sort of the Miami slash Broward area, please feel free to pass that along, or my information. Yes, absolutely. I'll be at Excel as well. So I'm going to keep bugging y'all about this one.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thanks, Carolyn.
Just Carolyn, this is great. I mean, it's so valuable to know what we're all doing in other parts of the country, even if we can't be there individually. But I mean, that's what we're doing here, is we can see that. And the webpage you posted is quite good and really exciting. A couple of things I would ask for is, if things ever emerge with students taking action, that is so helpful for the students to be able to link up with others, to know that they're not alone. If there's programs or initiatives that come out, we'd certainly like to bring them to the Clean Network and hook them up with other students. And another one would be, as discussion happens, we may get policy that districts need to teach climate change, and that's a very important step forward. What are the roadblocks? What are the things that are used as reasons not to teach or to hold it? And then how do people successfully get around those? They're sharing that one. I think, each state will have its own, but we're going to have some common, oh, you've encountered that too. Oh, yeah. You found this works. Great. Let's learn from that.
I am going to put this link in the chat as well. That is the main page for our youth empowerment program. We get kids from all over Florida because we have offices Miami, Orlando, Tampa, Tallahassee, and then some kids will join who, aren't in one of those major metro areas. But yeah, absolutely. We have like monthly meetings, so maybe we could do something coming up where it's like, oh, hey, we can meet with, kids who are doing stuff in other areas of the country. So, and I'll put my email in there too. I'm not the one who's in charge of that. I'm education and curriculum. So I do a lot of like teacher professional development and curriculum development, but I can definitely put you in touch with the people who are, running that program. And yes, hard agree, Deborah. Thank you. I'm really, I'm really excited for this coming up, and I'm so proud of all the stuff that our kids are doing.
Gina's got a hand.
Carolyn, is that also for 4-H people in Florida?
Like 4-H, like the farming organization?
Yeah, no, 4-H is the biggest youth after school program engagement program in the US.
Yeah, don't
And
they
one of the 4-H directors used to live in Alaska and is now a director in Florida. And I'm happy to send this to her if you have an informal youth and education component.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought, yeah, I've definitely heard of 4-H. I was never in a place where they sort of had that going on, but I thought that had to do with agriculture. But yeah, no, absolutely. I said, if you know, yeah, folks in Florida and if there's any kind of like, we have our monthly calls and we do policy stuff, but we don't really have the capacity to do a ton of like on the ground, day-to-day volunteering. So we're always looking for, different things that our students can get involved in and sort of link up efforts. We've worked with like Mi Familia Vota, the National Parks Association, all that kind of stuff. So absolutely. If you want to make a connector email, I put my email there. So. Oh, and then I'll grab.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Gina's got a hand up.
I don't have, I'm gonna change the subject, so I just want to make sure that there's no one else has ideas or thoughts about Carolyn's topic. But this is I'll just say really quickly, as we're starting the new school year, we have pretty much an open schedule on the clean calls for presenters. So if you have any ideas about presenters you think might be a good fit for these calls, or if you or your organization would like to give a presentation on the clean calls, please let me know, because we're currently trying to fill up the schedule for this semester and don't have a lot of talks lined up. So if you have any ideas, or you yourself would like to give a presentation, or a colleague or something, definitely let me know. Every other week we try to have presentations, so just keep that in mind, and feel free to reach out if something comes up.
That's a nice lead into what I was going to say, which is kind of partly connecting back to what one of the things Jim was talking about, of trying to legislate climate change education. And I'm part of a group in New York State that's trying to encourage that. And last legislative session, there were 5 different climate change education bills that all failed to get out of committee. And this year we're hoping they'll actually get out of committee and do something. And so we're working on sort of a policy brief towards that end. And if you've got great insights on what has worked somewhere and what has not worked. And I know one of the problems with, I think at least 3 of the bills last year was that they weren't informed by how curriculum standards actually work in New York State, and the Board of Regents needing to be heavily involved in that and so forth. So I know some of the lessons that missed the mark last year, and connecting this to Gina's call for people to speak. I have mentioned in that group, and we're meeting every Wednesday, the possibility of sharing the group's work in a clean call to get on what we're working on. So that's one possible opportunity for a speaker. And my colleagues and I could also speak about the deep geothermal project at Cornell. So.
Yeah, Don, that'd be great. We really have an open schedule. So if at any point you just want to let me know like what weeks work for you,
okay.
That would be really great. Because I know that I've heard you mention the deep geothermal efforts a few times, and it sounds super interesting. So I'm sure some people in Queen would like to hear about that.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and just if you want to introduce me via email, or if you just want to talk to them and let me know what week, I
Yeah,
think that would be great.
I will talk to both groups about presenting at some point and see
Yeah.
what dates work for folks and follow up.
Cool.
with you.
That sounds great.
Other things to talk about? We've had a good soaking rain in Buffalo today, which we were overdue for.
I have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if y'all talked about this. Were you all encouraged by the IRA? Or
Yeah, I mean, I'm not through the roof delighted, but I'm pleased with much of what I know about it. It's a lot better than I thought where we were going to end up. What about you?
I haven't read it enough, so I'm feeling
Yeah, that's true of me too.
like 8,000 pages. I think there's probably something good in there, and I don't want to say something till I know.
I think cautious optimism is kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind jumping in a second, is I think we have it sort of an open. We're working toward having at least one discussion, including semi-formal, but having speakers and things on it. I would agree that it's just okay. As a starting point, it's just essential to know what's going on with that. It's going to affect us for at least 8 years. It's a big thing. And yeah, there's definitely definitely a very positive thing that there is action as well as things we're disappointed about. But it's a ton of stuff in there. I've gone through it enough to at least identify. Okay, this is a topic. Here's a topic. Here's a topic, and so.
Yeah, that might be a nice topic for a clean speaker, is just kind of an overview of what's in the legislation. And I don't know who the right speaker would be for that, but I know that would be a topic I'd be interested in.
We've been hashing that around. Are you ready to speak to that a little bit, Frank G?
Well, I heard back from Jeff Hammerlund, who he sounds like he's interested in doing it. There's a few things got to work out in terms of scheduling and other stuff, which was actually the gist of my email to you, Gina. Yeah, if he's able to, if all the stars come together correctly, I think he'll be a great resource for answering a lot of questions. Also, Deborah, response as far as IRA plus or minus. One of the good things about the IRA right now is that Australia recently, through its parliament, released what for Australia is a landmark climate bill. It's still compromised in a lot of areas, but the nice thing is that with Australia and the US putting major climate legislation onto the table in advance of COP27, it may be the sort of thing that will begin to push the needle a little bit further forward. We'll see, but still, that's a point of optimism, I think.
Thank you.
Cool. Other thoughts on that or anything else? If not, maybe we can adjourn. An extra 20 minutes in your day.
Not gonna lie, I will use that to eat lunch before my next meeting, so I'm down with that.
Finish my lunch too.
Sounds good.
All righty. Well, great seeing you all. Thanks so much. And we will see you next time.
Thanks for being here, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Dawn.
Bye.
Bye.